Okay, so I left you in the last video with a problem. Maybe you've given this some thought. So the very first thing we're going to do is simplify. 4x plus 10x is 14x minus an 8x. 6x plus 24 equals 60. Okay, what's the next thing we want to do? We'd like to get this side even simpler. So we're going to choose to take away 24, but we have to do that on both sides. Good news here is that that goes away, leaving us just 6x equals 60 minus 24. I have to change this to a 5 and put a 1 here, right? For borrowing. 10 minus 4 is 6. 5 minus 2 is 3. 6x equals 36. Can you see what x is? X equals 6 times what equals 36? 6. Okay, great. And now all I want to do in this video, aside from that, is simply recap what we've done so far so that we have a nice grounding to build on for the next lessons. So we're talking about, remember we said arithmetic is about numbers and operations. 4 plus 3 minus 7 over 10 times 5. Numbers and operations. Operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and more. Algebra. Okay. Everything from arithmetic. All of this carries over into algebra. So everything from arithmetic plus the variable, such as x, y, n, z, variables standing in for numbers. And that's the new thing in algebra. Algebra. Now we're going to talk only about algebra, where we concern ourselves with equations. Let me put the second. Like 3x plus 5 equals 10x minus 7. You'll be doing equations as complicated as this in pretty short order. And equations are made up of an expression set equal to an expression. So this is an expression, and this is an expression. And the main idea, the main thing you want to try to do in algebra is to solve equations. That's the main event. And we've worked on a few different strategies for doing that. Some of those strategies involve things you can do with expressions. And I've told you that there's 3 things we can do with expressions. 1, 2, 3. We can evaluate them. To evaluate them, we can simplify them. And we can factor them. And in pretty quick order, we've started with evaluation and simplification, and we're holding off on factoring for a while. So what is evaluation? Let's talk about that. When we're talking about evaluation, we're talking about, for example, 3x plus 5 when x equals 1. We want to find out the value of this. So evaluate is find the value of this expression. And we do that by plugging in 1 for x, 3 times 1. This is a nice way, kind of one of the only places I ever use the dot multiplier in algebra. 3 times 1 plus 5, 3 times 1 equals 3 plus 5 equals 8, and we found the value. And then simplifying. We're going to learn a few more things with simplification, with simplifying, but for now, do this in green. Simplifying, for example, 2x plus 7x, we can simplify this down. It equals 9x. We could take 10x minus 6x. We could simplify that down to 4x. Remember that a single x plus 9x, this single x is really 1x, so that equals 10x. And we could 12x minus 2x plus 5x. We can also take more complicated expressions that have only x's. 12 minus 2 is 10, plus another 5 is 15x. And that's simplification. In simplification, so under simplification now, which is under expressions, simplifying, a simpler way to say that. This is called combining like terms. What we've been doing this whole time has been combining like terms. And so when we see a 4x plus a 5x, these are like terms. They are terms that are similar to each other because they both contain x's, just one x. And so we know that we can call that 9x. Gets slightly more complicated when you have two variables. For example, 4x plus 5y plus 2x minus 3y. Now we've got variables that are, we have two variables and we have terms, which are things separated by pluses and minuses that have different variables. This 4x happily pairs with this 2x, and notice that I'm keeping the plus sign from in front of this. And they come together as a nice 6x. But then this 5y minus a 3y can also be combined as 2y because 5 minus 3 is 2. This is the most simplified version of what we started with. But this is a higher level skill. You don't really need to, in algebra for a long time, be working with two variables. What's also true is that your teachers are probably going to be throwing complicated combining like terms problems at you just for their own sake. So when we get to the school year and they start doing that, I want you to have like you're out in front of this a little bit. So we're going to keep expanding this. My main goal for you is to understand this idea of how to solve equations. But then off on the side, I want you to have all the skills that they will be tossing at you so that you feel comfortable, okay? But there are other kinds of simplification coming in your near future. And we'll start talking about those in the next lesson. We'll start talking about something called distribution pretty soon. And that will begin to help you to solve equations that are a lot more difficult and more difficult looking. Okay, so I think that's enough for right now. You take care. Thanks.